We have Chris Cook here. Chris?
Well deserved. You talked about the small shows, the medium shows, the arenas. One of the biggest shows in the history of New Jersey was 1977, I believe. That show at Englishtown.
Oh, yeah.
Another Al story.
Yeah. It was also a radio broadcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was an AEW broadcast.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Something that should be remembered. I do have one question. It's more for the audience. How do we get this man nominated into the New Jersey Hall of Fame where he's deserved?
Well, thank you. That's nice. I don't know if it's true, but Englishtown was a trip. The show was Grateful Dead, Marshall Tucker, who were a huge band in their own right at the time, and the New Riders of the Purple Sage. We made a deal with the people who owned Englishtown Raceway, which I'm pretty sure is still there. They had a huge amount of land and a really natural bowl next to the raceway. So we made a deal to do a show. And there's so much that happened in such a short period of time. Al was my lawyer. Once again, just 4 days or 5 days before the show, the city tried to enjoin the show. And remember, in those days, we were all dirty hippies. Whether we were or weren't, that's to the adults, the generation above us, couldn't actually believe, what this movement, this rock and roll movement was.
That was dangerous.
Yes, yes. So they went and joined us, and Judge heard it.
Judge Yacarino.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
That's his daughter back there.
Is that true?
Yeah. Judy Yacarino. Oh, wow.
All right. So Judge Yacarino
In his living room.
didn't. Well, his porch. Yeah. I wasn't there, but I, was, listening. Well, first he went and he turned down the injunction. This is maybe 4 or 5 days before the show. Show goes on. We sold, if I remember correctly, 103,000 tickets. I think to this day it's the most people that have ever been at an event in New Jersey. So then the township, and Englishtown's not a real town. I can't remember what the name of the town is. Englishtown, Old Bridge, yes, okay. So they were furious about this because they were sure that all you folks were coming and you were going to rape their daughters and and crap on their front lawns. Yeah, exactly. So they decided the day, or maybe it was 2 days before the show, that they were going to do major road construction. All right, and they started tearing up all the roads that led to Englishtown Raceway, and so this was ridiculous, So the show was on a Saturday. So I don't know whether this finally happened on Saturday morning or it happened on Friday night. I'm not really sure. Perhaps his daughter remembers. What?
She said Friday night.
Friday night, okay. And Al convinced the judge, got the judge on the phone and convinced him that he had to have a hearing, all right, because there was going to be this was going to be a disaster and a mess. So Judge Yacarino said, okay, come on, and they called the town's attorney and said, come over to my house. And as I remember the story, Al and the other attorney went, and the judge was either in a robe or in very, very casual clothes. I don't mean clothes. I don't mean a judge's robe. I mean a robe. And Al, told them what they had done, and the judge got furious with the town, and said, you've got till tomorrow morning to make sure these roads are all open. Boom, that was it. So what happened, this was on the news all the time when this was going on. And I remember this day, Fisher. Who was the newscaster on NEW back in those days?
Fisher.
Bob Fisher.
No. Andy.
Andy
Fisher.
Fisher. Okay. So NEW.
He played second base when you pitched.
Yes. Okay. Andy Fisher. The thing that's really interesting about NEW, and it shows a bit of why it got into everybody's psyche, is that despite the fact that this was as counterculture as it possibly could be, they went to the news on the top of the hour or 5 after the hour, whatever it was, every day. All right, and you got to hear what was going on in the world from our perspective. All right, the Vietnam War was going on. There were all kinds of sociological things going on, and you got the MSNBC version, of the news. So this was on the news. This whole going on with Judge Iacarino and all that. But at that point, no internet, no cell phones, just telephones and radios. So the word had gotten out. Now remember, we had sold 103,000 tickets. All right. So all the people that were coming to the concert, not all of them, but most of them figured the roads are going to be closed. But we're going. The roads are going to be closed. So I stayed up all night, and I'm pretty sure Al was with me the whole time. And ultimately, what happened was they took down the barricades, in the roads that they were, saying, men at work. But because so many people thought they weren't going to be, they started parking like 5 miles away from Englishtown. And then when all the street parking was filled up, they started parking on people's front lawns. All right, and they were strewn all over the place. And you can imagine the middle class Central Jersey people were going nuts. People parking on their there weren't enough tow trucks to tow them away, and everybody walked. The two parts of the end of the story, of that story, were, number one, and I don't have it anymore, that's like I don't have any of this stuff, but there was a helicopter picture taken. Yeah, because we had to fly the bands in, on helicopter. There's a helicopter picture taken with 103,000 people on the site, and then acres and acres and acres and acres of empty parking lots. They never got to the parking lots. The other cute part about that exact day was that just as the sun started coming up, I had a little golf cart, a little electric golf cart. Didn't make much noise. Whenever I had a golf cart at a big show, I had two flags. I had an American flag on it and I had an Israeli flag on it. And everybody would say, why'd you have an Israeli flag? It's because you're Jewish. I said, well, I am Jewish, but no, but the Israelis never lost a war. I want that good luck with them. So I'm driving around now. What we had done, because ever since Woodstock in '69, no one had figured out how to do a festival, all right, without people crashing the gates. Well, we figured it out, and we rented. I can't remember how many. Kenny, Chris, you got to remember how many?
1,000.
Mile
and a third.
Yeah. Okay. Of flatbed trucks. The ones that go on.
The containers.
Right, the containers. All right. And over a course of a couple weeks before the show, we lined them up, and that was the fence. All right. Couldn't get through it. All right. So I thought that was very, very clever. All right. So now it's just starting to be dawn. We stopped selling tickets. There were no tickets to be had. I think the legal capacity was 100. We'd already sold 103. So we figured, okay, enough. I don't need Al to have to get me out of jail. So I'm driving around to see what's going on. We opened the gates, and people flooded in. And I go around the back near there were some woods, and there's a kid standing there, all right, with the biggest set of wire cutters I've ever seen in my life. And like this big, right? And he didn't hear me coming up because I was in this electric golf cart. He just, right? And I pulled up next to him, and I got out of the, got in and said, and I looked at him. He turned around and startled him. I said, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" And he said, "Look, you can't blame me for trying. I thought there'd be a fence, a wire fence. I put the fence up, you know." And I get there. I said, "Good luck." All right? I drove away and walked out.
You have to
So,
find that kid.
what?
You
Yeah.
should find him.
Should find a lot of people.